today we are going to talk about breaking down macros. So in other words, if you're not sure what macros are, if you have a gram, basically protein is a macro, fiber is a macro, sugar is a macro, carbs are a macro. So we're going to kind of talk about those and how that fits into clean eating without overwhelming. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So I'll start first with, so when I started counting macros, it's probably been, I bet close to 20 years that I've been counting macros. When I started, it was, I don't remember if anybody remembers the Calorie King books. So you'd have to go in, find a banana, and look and see what the protein, carbs, and all that was, and write it down. You know, if you get steak, you'd have to look through all the different kinds of steaks, then write it down. So I have notebooks and notebooks of all the things I've written down. But now it's so much easier with MyFitnessPal, Lose It, Weight Watchers has their app. I mean, there's just tons of apps that you can do it. So we really don't think about it. We can just put a food in, and it automatically, like on MyFitnessPal, you go to a certain graph, and it'll show you how much protein everything is in it. You know, I'd also have to do math all the time because I'd have a goal. Well, I'd have to subtract it from it, make sure, and it wasn't like now where you can just plan it all ahead. I mean, you could, but it's a lot of work. So things have definitely changed over the years that make it so much easier to keep track of. So we're going to talk about different macros and what their values are. So if we have 1 gram of protein, that equals 4 calories. So if you have, like 24, I think your shake was 24 grams, 24 times 4 is going to be how many calories, how many of that, if it's 250 calories, that's how many calories is protein. So we're going to go back again in just a minute. But, so then 1 gram of carbs equals 4 calories. So both of those are the same caloric value, but they don't do the same for the body. They do different things for the body. Then we have 1 gram of fat equals 9 calories. It's almost twice as much as the other two. And then, I know probably nobody needs to know this one, but 1 gram of alcohol,
sugar,
equals 7 calories.
Oh, well,
So those are the breakdown of 1 gram for each of those. So what all does that mean? So protein, everybody have that written down after right?
Is this for sugar, or you're going to talk about sugar later?
Actually, we're going to be talking about sugar next week.
Okay.
So, because sugar, next week will be sugar is on the hit list. So we're going to talk about sugar next week.
Okay.
Sugar is going to be our whole topic next week.
It's our whole topic.
Because I think it's important enough to give it its whole little talk about sugar. I think when it comes to meal planning and all that, sugar hands down is more important than any of the rest of this. So that's our breakdown. So we'll talk about carbs first. So we have our carbs, which everybody says, stay away from carbs. Carbs are bad. They're not good for you. But they get a bad rap because everybody just says carbs in general, like bread, tortillas, and all the processed stuff. Yes, that's bad. But we have 3 different types of carbs. We have simple, we have complex, and we have fibrous. So we have simple, complex, and fibrous. All of them do something different for our body. Simple is anything like our fruits. So you think about a fruit, basically is what happens is you have a banana, you have an apple, you have an orange, something like that. Your sugar, of course, a banana has like I think 34 grams of sugar maybe in it. So what happens is insulin spikes, you get some energy, and then shortly thereafter, goes right back down. So that's kind of the definition of a simple carb. It's going to take you up and then bring you down. So some people in the mornings, they need a little something to get them going before they work out, if they work out in the mornings or any time of day. So they might have a piece of fruit. We'll go to fibrous next. Fibrous would be any of your carbs that are vegetables. So they're, broccoli, carrots, lettuce. I mean, so those would count if you're counting macros into your carb count, but they're not really going to make that big a difference. So in other words, you might have a cup of salad and have like 15 calories and maybe like 2-3 grams of carbs, next to nothing. There are complex ones are really the good ones because those give us sustained energy. So in other words, we take a complex carb like a brown rice. Brings our energy up for a couple hours, maybe even 2 or 3, and then it slowly brings our energy levels down. So our complex is anything like sweet potatoes. A whole wheat bread is going to be a processed, but it's also going to be a complex carb. A sprout bread like Ezekiel bread is going to be a complex carb. Really anything, brown rice, all those are examples of a complex carb. So all 3 of these are very important in your diet. So you want your fruits, you want your complex carbs, your sweet potatoes. Now white potato is going to be a little bit more on the simple because it's going to have a little more sugar, but so it's going to bring you up and go down a lot faster than a sweet potato. Same thing with white rice versus brown rice. So we have our complex carb in our plate along with our fibrous. Because really you can have a whole half a plate full of your fibrous carbs, not really getting all our calories, are going to fill you up a little more dense, less dense, and get a few more carbs in. So all these have a extremely important. So if I'm going on an endurance run or an endurance event, maybe I'm going to work out in the gym for an hour and a half, then I would be interested in a complex. If I need something to get me jump started before I work out, I might go simple. Then after workout, you're still gonna you might go simple to replenish your glycogen stores that you've used during the workout. I mean, all that's a little bit more in depth, but these 3 carbs are extremely important. So when you go no carb or low carb, you're leaving these out because all those things are not bad for us. They're just it's the boxes of a hamburger helper. It's the cereal that has all this stuff in it. Oatmeal would be a complex carb, not the one in the package that has brown sugar or
cinnamon.
Yes, yeah. Now cinnamon. Now let's say you make a steel cut or just an oatmeal and you put cinnamon on it. Cinnamon's great to add. Yes. Mm-hmm. So all those are definitely important to add into your meal plan. So when people say, "Well, keto's big about no carb," and you're really missing out on your energy levels. Now, some people we talked about a carb equaling 4 calories, and a protein equals 4 calories. So if they both equal 4 calories, how can we not get the same energy value from them? Because carbs and proteins are processed different. Protein is going to help maintain and build muscle, whereas carbs are going to turn into glycogen. You use those when you work out. You empty your glycogen stores, and then you have to replenish them back with the carbs. So they do different things for the body. If I go out on an extended bike ride for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, a package of beef jerky is not going to give me the same energy value as, let's say, a banana or a peanut butter sandwich. It's not going to do the same for me. I'm going to feel a lot more fatigued, and when people are on a high protein, low carb diet, they have all kinds of symptoms like fatigue. They have trouble seeing. All those things affect when you're on a low carb, high protein diet. So just because they have the same caloric value doesn't mean they give you the same energy. If that makes sense. So then we have so protein is anything. Any lean meat, any lean red meat, fish, chicken, those types of things. So petite sirloin is a great example of a low fat red meat. Any type of fish, you want to keep an eye on, mercury, amounts of mercury. High level of mercury is not always great. Chicken cooked anyway, just not fried chicken, because then that messes us up into processed, so it's not so good. So any low source of any protein, because chicken, if you look at chicken 4 ounces is going to be about 134 calories, and it's going to be about 30 grams of protein. So if let's take chicken for example. I'm going to erase this because really, if you look on the back of chicken, it just says chicken. So if we have chicken and we have 4 ounces, which equals about 130 calories, and we know that an ounce, or so if we divide 130, not 4 ounces, 4 ounces. Because again, 1 ounce. We'll do this. It has 30 grams of protein. Get my mind around here. So 30 grams. If we multiply that times 4 calories, we get 120. So, and your chicken is 130. So, it's got a couple other calories, but it's not really anything. So, majority of it is coming from your protein. Versus, can I see your AvoCare package? So, like this package is 210 calories. So it's 210 calories, and we have 24 grams of carbs. So if we multiply that times 4, that is 96, I think. Okay, so 96 calories is carbs, and protein is also 24. So it's going to be 96 calories of protein and carbs. So 96 is going to be, I think, 18. Nope, 19. 198. 198. So 198 calories. So most of it is coming from your carbs and protein. Because of fat, you only have 2 grams. So most of it's coming from your carb and protein.
So that's a lot of carbs for one meal, or is that okay?
So it depends on what your meal plan looks like. So this again that's not a bad combination if it fits within your meal plan. So so let's say it's a post workout, then it might be really good because you have 24 grams of carbs, which is replenishing glycogen, your protein to maintain muscle mass. So that's a really good one. Let's say you're just wanting strictly a protein drink that you really don't want a lot of carbs added in, then that's not so good. So it just depends on where you're at.
Breakfast. That's breakfast.
Yeah. So that's okay. Yeah.
And I usually put fruit in it, frozen fruit, to give it some, make a smoothie.
Yes.
No, I don't put ice cream in it.
So
That's a good idea.
So then you have your carbs. They're going to be a little more complex with what's in there, along with your simple, and then with your protein. So it's a good mixture. You can throw a little peanut butter in there and give fats. Okay. So I think it had 2 grams of fat in it. So if it had fat, and we know that equals 9 calories, and there's 2 grams of it, that would equal 18 calories, which would put us right at about the 210 it was. So of course those numbers aren't going to be exact. There's going to be a little fudge in them, but you're going to get a pretty good idea. So just a quick, if you want to do macros, because some people do, we've talked about, some people do calories, they only count calories. Some people count macros. So if they're counting macros, they're counting their fats, protein, and carbs. Those are the three things they're counting. They are looking at sugar, but if you're eating a clean diet, the sugar is going to take care of itself, which we're going to talk about next week. So basically, let's say you have we're going to make this super simple, and say you have 1,000-calorie diet, which we wouldn't because we don't ever want to go under 12. But to make this the most simple for math. Actually, I'm going to put this at the top so I don't have the whole thing. So if we have a 1,000-calorie diet, and when I say diet, I mean just a meal plan. It's not, somebody may be on a 1,200 maintenance. So let's say if there's a whole bunch of different recommendations, but one is if we go 40% protein, 40% carbs, and 20% fats. So what all does that mean? If we go 40% protein, 40% carbs, and 20% fats. So what that means is we have 400 calories for protein, 400 calories for carbs, and 200 calories for fat. Because that's just, we just multiply the 20% times 1,000, that gave us our calories. So, so then, okay, how are we going to figure out how many grams of each one of those we need? Well, we know there are 4 calories for every gram of protein. So all we do is take that number, we divide 4 into 400, and that equals 100 grams. So now we need 100 grams of protein. Basically the same thing on carbs. 4 divided by 4, or 400 divided by 4 equals 100, and we have 9 goes into 200. We have 22 grams of fats. So now if we know that, we don't even have to count calories. We can look based on our macros versus our calories. So because if we go strict on a 1,000-calorie diet, we could eat at McDonald's, Sonic, any restaurant can make that fit within a 1,000-calorie diet. We can make that fit. But your body's going to look different if you choose to use your macros versus calories. So it's all just a matter of choice of what you want to do. So because sometimes macros, that's a lot of math. It's a lot of trying to figure out, I can go nuts because I'm always looking at the back of the label, how many proteins, how many carbs, how many, so you can count this way. That's just an idea of how macros work. And how sometimes people say, oh, well, if it fits within my numbers, then I can have it no matter what it is. Well, it's the same thing true as if it fits my calories, But if you eat, like we talked about last week, if you eat a clean diet and fit that within, it doesn't matter if you do a 1,000-calorie diet and just do numbers. It doesn't matter if you do just grams. If you're eating clean, it's going to look different than if you put McDonald's or fast food in those numbers. So that's kind of the breakdown, kind of the idea behind macros. Now you say, now what do I do with that information? You can apply it to your diet. You can say, well, I want to try it, or I want to try calories, or you can just simply take it for information value and know that when I have protein, it does something different than when I have a carb. And when I have a carb, am I having a fruit which is different than a vegetable, which is different than a grain or a sprout or anything like that. They all affect you differently, but all are equally important. Any diet that says we're cutting something out that is a food group and that is needed is typically not the best